First question is, when we come up with new things like the Stockholm Accord, one might ask, why? Why do we need it? What's the reason to start this whole process?
Well, the father of the Accords can certainly.
You are the owner of the Accords. First of all, you gave the name Stockholm Accords. So you answer this.
Well, I think we can both answer it, but from perhaps slightly different points of view. My point of view would be that the Global Alliance needs to truly represent the profession globally, and this is a wonderful new instrument, tool for us to do that. We're very, very proud that the concept of the Accords has been developed not only within the context of the Global Alliance, but that the life of the Accords going forward will also be integrated into the Global Alliance agenda. So I think that the answer to the question why is that the profession needs to have its reputation, its understanding externally improved, and this will be a very vital element in achieving that.
Would you say that the global profession until now had some deficiencies that have to be covered and that could be extinguished by the Stockholm Accords?
I don't think it can be extinguished by the Stockholm Accords. That is, I don't think that there's any profession in the world that does not have its deficiencies. And actually, I think the public relations profession, because it's more recent than some of the other professions, has less deficiencies than the deficiencies the accounting profession or the legal profession or the medical profession have around the world, because they are less organized globally than we are. I think the Global Alliance is also answering the question why. Who else could do something like this in our profession around the world, if not the Global Alliance, which has so many associations of professionals from different countries.
The word deficiency is flexible, though. I think that one kind of interpretation of deficiency is the understanding and the appreciation of public relations externally. And obviously there has been a deficit. There is great misunderstanding about public relations, its importance, its contribution to society, and we intend to address that through the Accords.
How many people have been involved? It has been quite a long time process, and a lot of
it's long in terms of the network society. It's not long in normal 20th century terms. It's been 6 months basically, and we have involved as of today about 1,000 people, and these could be professors, scholars, educators, managers of companies, agencies, consultants. A lot of people got involved in this thing from all over the world, from many, many countries.
I think it's also important that this 1,000 people, if that is the total number, have been involved in various media, as it were. The virtual meetings that Toni chaired, for example. And now we conclude with a face-to-face discussion where something like 400 people are offering their points of view in terms of the finalization of the Accords.
It is expected that the Stockholm Accords are finalized, or more or less finalized and agreed upon today. So what will be the next step?
The Accords are finalized now, basically in the next hour, and then they will be approved. And once that is going up on the website, and every association will pick it from there. It's a brief. It's not a manifesto. It's a brief. It's a brief which is very flexible, which every organization can do and adapt, and not translate, but adapt, and to its own specific circumstances, because we, of course, know very well that things are different all around the world.
Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to add to that, in that the Global Alliance will be the home for the further development and implementation. And Toni has worked very hard with our staff at Lugano to ensure that the progress is reported and measured on the basis of what indeed our member associations have achieved in terms of implementing the Accords over the next few years.
That brings me to the next question. what help or what support can national associations expect from the Global Alliance when implementing the Stockholm Accords?
It's going to be a hub. It's a virtual hub, of course, and we are happy to go around physically also to speak with our colleagues from around the world. But more than that, I would be happy if the hub was used as a clearinghouse. In other words, if the Italians want to start doing something about it, they can tell the hub and the other members of the hub who will participate what they're doing and exchanging experiences. It's knowledge management process, basically.
Yes, I think it goes to the central purpose of the Global Alliance, and that is that we can and we must indeed learn from each other. And so the sharing of experience in terms of the Accords, as with all of the other services that the Global Alliance provides, is very vital, because what is achieved in one part of the world, especially if it is progress, should indeed be shared with the rest of the member associations. So it can have a very genuine benefit in terms of the sharing of experience and progress around the world.
You said yesterday that the Stockholm Accords and its implementation will be evaluated in 2 years. How are we going to evaluate this?
Once more, every association will want to do its own thing. We suggest two approaches to the evaluation process, and we suggest they both be adopted. One has to do with the contents of the Accords. In other words, if an association decides, say for example, as I would hope the Austrian Association, decides to develop a program for the for example, internal, external, and alignment parts of the Accords, and they want to do this with the members of the association, with the potential members of the association, and maybe with the business community. These are three separate stakeholder groups. So we ask them, before you start, evaluate where you are. Now, some of the contents of the Accords are very familiar, others are not. If you look at the governance issue or the management issue, they're less familiar, or the sustainability, than the internal and external and alignment, which are we're more used to that. So there are differences in familiarity and in credibility. So measure that with your stakeholders before you start, and then measure it in 2 years' time. That's one part. The other part has to do with our reputation of the profession, and reputation, a relative reputation, compared to what? Compared to other management functions in the organizations, for example, compared to other professions in management and organization, for example, finance, accounting, legal, or you can do that with marketing, or you can do that with advertising, or you can do, and so in 2 years' time you will see where your reputation is.
I think there's a special role for the Austrian Association in this regard, because obviously your participation here in the finalization of the Accords is important, involvement in the process, but also geographically. I mean, you can be a hub for the progress on the Accords in Europe. And that is going to be a very vital area for us in terms of the Accords, because I think we have had at least as much enthusiasm from our European members as from anywhere else, and surely Austria and Italy and a few other countries in Europe can lead the charge in terms of progress on the Accords.